Welcome back to Game-Based Learning in the World Language Classroom. The why, what, and how. We are on section 3 of my book, The How. This is where I give you actual games to play. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, and Japanese to high schoolers out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. I'll have these games posted on studio-nemo.com. There are also many of them, not all of them, but many of them are also on the Duolingo Educators Network. But if you want to ping me and talk to me about any of them, Minecraft Education Ambassadors or the Minecraft Teachers Lounge. Or, of course, leave a comment here. So we are on chapter 8 of my book. I'm going to walk you through how to play Guess Who to teach describing people and matching adjectives to nouns. And in our last episode, we talked about playing Uno to teach numbers and colors. So for Guess Who, I made up, I just printed a large sheet of characters from every single movie and book that we'd read or we were going to read, and I was preparing the students or whatnot. And I had our secretary laminate it. So now they're kind of like boards. And every student in class gets one of these boards and they get a handful of bingo chips. Okay, I'll explain the bingo chips in a moment. I made a quick version using the Duolingo Project World characters, and if you click around on my YouTube channel, you'll see my students playing this when Duolingo came to film us for DuoCon 2022. But this one is a really quick version because there's not that many characters. I give each student a page of sentence frames. Sentence frames are really crucial, okay? So sentence frames are going to include, are you, that phrase, and then you might give them nouns like a man, a woman, a boy, a girl, an animal, okay? A list of emotions, descriptive adjectives, such as being stubborn, lazy, intelligent, physical characteristics, tall or short, big nose, little nose, things like that, certain hair color words, okay? And so for hair color, generally, you have to give, there might be a difference between she has blonde hair versus she is a blonde, okay? Do you have hair color, eye color? Clothing words, simple clothing words, and all the colors. Of course, all the students already know the colors because we've already done Uno by this point. Physical characteristics, mustache, big nose, beady little eyes. Okay, so that's in my sentence frames that I give them. And I also project this on the board. I have the students have a physical paper in their hands so they can make notes on it. I want them to make notes on it. I want them to draw pictures. I want them to circle words. I want them to add color coding. I want them to add their own words that they want to talk about. And I also project the scaffolding on the board during every single game. Okay, so here's the scaffolding. It underlines because, you take a screenshot and it says, oh, I don't recognize that word. Ignore that. Okay, so here's the scaffolding and I'll pull this out as the students need it. Okay, do not stress that you've given your students crutches and scaffolding. The students who don't need it aren't even going to glance at it. They're going to take the page you gave them and they're going to shove it in their backpack and they're never going to look at it again. The students who are sort of like they're just on the cusp of being confident, they just need to have the paper in their hand to make them feel confident. They might glance down at it once or twice, but they're going to self-select, okay? And the students that really need the crutches are going to look at the crutches, okay? This is your differentiation, and it's crucial. And be sure to write this up in your yearly evaluations. I am differentiating by doing this. It's not a problem to have a crutch, okay? Your students are not cheating. Your students are learning because the more they look at it, they're going to remember it, okay? They're not being lazy. And when I'm ready to summatively assess or formatively assess, like during the game, I'm summatively assessing, but during the practice games, I'm just formatively assessing. It's super easy to look around the room and see who's using their notes, who's glancing up at the board. That's super easy and I can make notes about that. And then I always have to pull out some minimal pairs and some things I know they're going to mess up on, okay? French students are always going to mess up on tu es versus tu as. I want to make sure that they know to say les cheveux, not le cheveux, and they know that cheveux is masculine. that they know the difference between un versus une. Now, I get a lot of students who are actually heritage Spanish speakers in my French classes. They already speak Spanish, so why should they take that? They take French. And so I've got to like deprogram that when they look at this, it's not une, right? Brun versus brune, blanc versus blond. Oh, because they'll want to say, they don't quite know this vowel sound, the blanc and the blond. So I got to really hammer that in. Oh, and then I also gave them anime because a lot of the characters we were talking about were animated. Okay, so we do a lot of practice. You can't just like plop the boards down and say, hey, I'm testing you guys now. We're going to practice because I want them to succeed. And I want them to be able to organically produce these sentences. And so they need practice organically producing these sentences. Okay, so I have the students grab game boards and bingo chips. Now, bingo chips. When I first did this, I had the secretaries laminate the boards so they'd last a long time. And I'm like, hey, yay, they're laminated. I'm just going to give the students whiteboard markers. But the whiteboard markers left too many streaks on the board. So now I've got a couple of boards that are like permanently red. Well, not red. They're pink because they're that erased red, And so I decided that bingo chips were much better. But if you're using bingo chips, make sure that 2 minutes before the end of class, you get your students down on their hands and knees picking up all the bingo chips that have fallen onto the floor. Okay, that's just too much for me to do, especially with my broken leg. For French students, we really, really have to practice those minimal pairs, I find. Okay, so like il a versus il est, we have to practice that a million times. Il a les cheveux bruns. Il est les cheveux bruns. Okay, but this is why I love this game, because the students really need to know this or they lose the game, and they don't want to lose their game. Okay, so I hereby officially allow their partner, if they accidentally say il est les cheveux bruns, their partner is allowed to say, no, I am not brown hair, and then the first person misunderstands and thinks, oh, the character doesn't have brown hair, and then they lose. Okay, but they've asked the wrong question, so they're going to lose. And the students really get into that, and so they practice, and they really want to win. So they're really working on those things. So there's 2 ways that I grade this. Okay, there's a very low stress way, and this is my preferred way. We practice. I'll let the students play the game from, I don't know, maybe 5 days, like for 15 minutes at a time. Okay, at the end of the class, we're going to play this game for 15 minutes. Okay, end of the next class, we're going to play the game for 15 minutes. And then on the big day, I'm just walking around with a clipboard. And I just stand over a table and I listen to people, and I don't leave the table until I've heard each person say 5 sentences, and one of those sentences has to be in the negative. No, I'm not wearing glasses or whatever. Okay. So that's the easy way to do it. I've done it in a more stressful way. But it's just class dynamics. Is it going to work with your class? Is it going to raise their affective filter or not? What I do for this one is I call up 2 students. I have a popsicle stick approach. I actually had the students make business cards the first day of school so they could learn to introduce each other. And then I save those business cards and I shuffle them. And that's my popsicle sticks, basically. So I call 2 students up randomly and they play against each other. Everybody else is playing along with a home game. Everybody else has their board in front of them and their chips, and they're trying to figure out, they choose, I'm the person on the left, I'm going with the person on the right, whatever. And then they just play along. Okay, so that, because I hate students being passive. Sometimes, instead of playing along, I give them a paper to fill out, which will be like, Bob had Fred Flintstone. Sally had, I don't know, I should probably, like, whatever character they wound up with. Asterix, I don't know. We don't watch the Flintstones. There doesn't have any French in it. Doesn't have any Spanish in it. Doesn't have any Japanese in it. We don't watch the Flintstones. Okay, so that's how I play Guess Who. Oh, and you're also going to have to laminate the cards that the students randomly draw to choose the characters. Okay, so in our next episode, Chapter 9, I'm going to show you how to play Apples to Apples. And Apples to Apples is wonderful because you can teach adjectives, predicate adjective sentence structures, matching adjectives to nouns for your Romance languages, and inflecting your adjectives for Japanese and Korean. And I absolutely love doing this. I absolutely love doing all these games. Hope to see you there.